first guest forecasts inflation to come in at 1.9%, spot on our Business World Survey's median, but a lot faster than the actual September data of 1.7%. Jonathan Ravelas is Senior Advisor at Reyes Tacandong Co and joins us now live. Good to have you with us, Jonas. Welcome back to the program.
Morning, Kathy.
All right, so what do you make of the inflation result? You were spot on, the Business World median survey, but it was a lot faster than the actual result.
Oh, well, that's actually good news, especially most of my expectation was really more driven by the climate-related challenges that we had. So this 1.7 actually is a much welcome number for September and eventually raises the possibility or the probability that the 25 basis point policy cut will materialize this month.
Well, how do you think the conversations would go when the Monetary Board meets on Thursday, given that it's a lot slower, but it's a little closer to the lower end of the target band of 2 to 4% for the Bangko Sentral?
Well, basically, the target's still between 2 to 4%, and since it's below 2%, it gives them more room. And if the Fed will continue to probably cut policy rates also, then definitely that gives more room for the BSP to do further cuts. And I believe this October would actually be a better month to do the cut, mainly because there are still upside risks between now and year end, especially with the Christmas season coming and all of this potential spending that could slightly fan inflation.
But do you think that that could happen, that the Fed would be cutting a lot more, considering the impact that a prolonged U.S. government shutdown would take place?
Well, basically, I think, sure, they'll probably cut by another 50 basis points. But I think for the Philippines, especially with all of this floodgate scandal, there's a need to probably help support growth. So probably now is the right time.
And you did cut your GDP forecast. You were one of the most bullish at 6%, and you're now down to 5.7%. Is it already factored in whatever happens to the flood investigation and all the perceptions, the negative perceptions that investors have given the investigation?
Well, basically, I guess you have to understand we're still a 70% consumer-driven economy. And so far, with resilient OFW remittances, with the peso slightly weaker, then this should be supportive of consumption, especially with the inflation trend still below the 2% target of the central bank.
Yeah, but there's a lot more variables here as we get a better grip of the extent of damage, disruption, and displacement, for instance, in northern Cebu following the quake. I mean, how might inflation look like in the coming month or two? Not only because of the quake, but the series of typhoons and floodings.
Well, basically, as I said, my expectations are probably full year or December inflation would probably be still below 2%. So we'll probably be ending probably between 1.7 to 1.9%. Rehabilitation will most likely continue, and that should at least provide some tailwinds to probably support spending growth.
And the suspension of rice imports, that carries on until at least December. Do you think that that would provide the extra tailwind to your own forecast?
Well, basically, I'm not in favor of extending the importation. Why deny cheap prices for everybody if we can import? I think what we've seen so far with the Rice Tariffication Act is that it's slowly helping farmers. So it might have been, it's a good program to probably continue. But again, the idea is really more of a challenge in trying to decipher where the impact for weather and other factors. So, but in my opinion, I would probably take advantage of, doing the imports now, because moving forward, there could be tariff-induced inflation. So having importation ahead of time should lessen the impact.
But because it's not going to happen even as you wish that it would, that suspension carries on. So what impact do you think that would have on inflation? Is it deflationary or inflationary?
Well, that could be inflationary moving forward to the first half of 2026. So inflation could probably move towards the 2 to 3%.
Okay, just a question on interest rate differentials. You made a mention of the Fed cutting a lot more, possibly and probably, and also the BSP being led to cut a little bit more because of what's going on with the flood control scam. What then will the interest rate differential look like? And is that something that would drive capital in or out of the country?
Well, basically, I think despite people are looking at the interest rate differential, these are probably 25 to 50 basis points, and this is one of the tightest ever. I think given this floodgate scandal, I think regardless of how you bring down interest rate, most likely the we are in a holding pattern if we tend to look at the outlook for the Philippines, despite there are fundamentals, but the corruption issues tend to cloud the outlook.
Okay, so this is how it looks like. I was saying you were in the minority. You're one of 6 of the 16. Do you think that a lot more will go to your camp? And what drivers could that be? Would it be a GDP forecast cut, maybe coming from the government, or maybe from a lot more of the private banks?
Well, I think we've already seen the IMF cutting their forecast to 5.4%. And this is much lower than the government's lower band of 5.5%. So I think it is very immediate that a 25 basis point cut materializes. As for the past 2-3 years, we've missed the 6% target. Last year, I recall, trying to tell everybody to cut in December by 50 basis points. And the first half missed close to 6% GDP number. So it's imperative to actually do it now while there's not much noise on the global front except for the shutdown.
Got
And
that.
and this is actually good. This cut could actually be a first signal and good for investors because this could be the beginning of probably another 50 basis point cut next year. So this will be a good opportunity for companies to issue debt.
That's exactly what they're doing. We're seeing a lot more corporate debt issuances as we speak. Well, we'll know in 48 hours, Jonas, if you got it right, a 25 basis point cut down the line for the Bangko Sentral. Thank you so much for joining us. Jonas Ravelas of Reyes Tacandong Co.